Underneath this European city, there are around 200 caves. But these are not just regular caves.
Are you alright?
Tight passages like these are one of the most dangerous places on Earth that have taken the lives of many people before. We are going to explore a cave that was turned into a church, a castle cave system that worked like an underground city with a hospital and a hiding place for 10,000 people, and a 20-mile-long claustrophobic cave system beneath Budapest, one of the most dangerous and unpredictable places in the world that requires a full gear to explore. When you enter, you walk through a narrow tunnel carved into a rock. Inside you see the main altar, side chapels cut directly into cave walls, and several religious statues. It even has a confessional carved into the rock.
So this is actually one of the most unique confessionals I've ever seen. Actually, the person who sinned and the priest go in from two different sides, but they are actually divided by the cave itself. It has a very interesting aura. This is definitely a place I would confess all of my sins.
But this cave went through a lot before becoming home to a church. Medieval legends claim that a monk named Ivan once lived here in solitude, long before this place had any religious structure. For centuries, nothing really happened here. The hill was full of vineyards, and some of the poorest people in Budapest actually lived inside the caves. Later the city expanded and they decided to build a church inside it. This wasn't just a construction. People believed they were building something sacred. Then World War II came and the church became a shelter and popular among Polish refugees. Then came the communists in 1951 and the monks were arrested overnight. The cross on the hill was destroyed and the church was sealed behind a massive concrete wall, thicker than a tank bunker. After communism fell, the concrete wall was removed and the church slowly came back to life. The cave now stands as proof that faith survived war, dictatorship, explosions, and decades of silence. And this isn't the only place in the city where life continued underground. Just a few kilometers from here, beneath the castle hill, there's another cave system that wasn't used for prayer, but for survival.
Imagine living here for months because of the war.
The castle cave, also known as the labyrinth, began as natural limestone caves formed by thermal waters thousands of years ago, long before the castle above existed. They realized that this underground space was stable, hidden, and perfectly suited for storage and protection. At first it was used mainly as cellars where wine, food, and supplies were kept at a constant temperature, but as the castle became a military stronghold, the cave slowly turned into shelters. Over the centuries, more and more tunnels were carved out, separate caves were connected, simple basements became a maze-like system that even today is easy to get lost in. As you walk through it now, you see narrow corridors, low ceilings, and in some sections you come across coals, chains, and small rooms that were once used as prisons.
Prisoners were attached to this one by a chain. It looked exactly the same, but without lights. There were no chairs, no table. They were just sitting here for months or years.
During World War II, parts of the cave system were transformed into the hospital in the rock. A fully operational emergency hospital built underground, wounded soldiers and civilians were brought down into the caves while bombs were falling above, and doctors worked in cramped rooms with limited equipment, often treating far more people than the hospital was ever designed for. You can even see in some pictures how close the beds were to each other. And those mattresses would be considered inhumane today. After the war, instead of being closed, the hospital was upgraded during the Cold War and turned into a nuclear bunker. Today, walking through these underground spaces means moving through places that were used for hiding, imprisonment, medical care, and long-term survival, all beneath one of the most visited and beautiful parts of the city. Caves aren't just historical spaces, they are living systems where the conditions can turn against you without warning. Inside, you are surrounded by narrow passages, slippery rocks, and tight spaces where you can barely turn around. Places where one wrong step or bad decision can leave you completely trapped. One of the most disturbing caving accidents in the world is the Nutty Potty incident. In 2009, an experienced caver named John Johns became trapped upside down in an extremely narrow passage, wedged so tightly that rescuers couldn't turn or pull him out. Despite a massive rescue effort lasting over 24 hours, the cave made every moment more dangerous, eventually making rescue impossible. He died, still trapped underground, and the cave was permanently sealed afterward. Budapest is a surprisingly serious place for caving. The temperature stays cold all year, the rocks are wet, and once you're inside, there's no quick exit. So we went for it. We got the helmets, the headlamps, the protective suits, then stepped into the darkness and started the adventure. Oh boy, and it was an adventure. At first, the cave felt manageable. Wide passages, some low ceilings where we had to bend down, but it felt safe, almost comfortable. And that's the dangerous part, because then the tunnel started getting tighter. How do you feel right now?
Actually, this is one of my biggest fears. Got stuck somewhere.
What Jakob is talking about is claustrophobia, which is a pretty common anxiety disorder. About 5 to 10% of people experience it to some degree during their lifetime. It's an intense fear of enclosed spaces such as elevators, small rooms, or even caves. It can trigger symptoms like panic, shortness of breath, and a strong urge to escape even when there's no real danger. Soon we were squeezing through narrow passages where standing was no longer an option. In some places we had to crawl forward head first, keeping our arms close to our body just to fit through.
Now I have to lay on my stomach and go through somehow that hole.
You just don't move freely anymore. You slide, push, and breathe carefully.
Bro. Oh Lord.
You might have to turn your head sideways at the end. What do you mean?
I just heard upside down. Bro, we might have to go upside down.
Can we go back?
Thankfully, we had a guide with us. His name is Szilárd. He was calm, experienced, and extremely prepared. Without him, the situation would have felt completely different.
If you're more interested in Harry Potter, like Voldemort.
He had many stories to tell.
Like, we explored caves in Montenegro before. Once we found a cave, donkey inside the caves.
We need to find a
So
donkey.
they have a...
Made us laugh.
So... I know a song, it's very easy, very popular, so I'm sure all heard before. We should try together. Very easy song to talk about.
And scared us here and there. What a guy. Sometimes bro disappeared quicker than fathers who go shopping for milk and never come back. At one point we realized that we've been crawling and squeezing through the cave for almost an hour straight. And that's when a very uncomfortable thought hit us.
Okay, so we actually reached the deepest point of the tour, so now we have to go back, which means we have to climb back.
Yeah, so we're no lift, no elevator. We have to climb a lot.
There's no secret exit, no emergency button, no shortcut back to the surface. We were about 50 meters underground and the only way out was to crawl back through every tight hole, every narrow tunnel, every uncomfortable squeeze we had already passed. That realization was genuinely scary. There were some holes we passed that were especially unsettling.
Okay, so head first there.
Places where if you slipped in the wrong way or got stuck too deep, getting out would not be easy at all.
Okay, that's half a meter.
So we had to move slowly and carefully, thinking about every step. We were more confident, but the feeling never really became normal. You don't really get used to being trapped in stone. And even though it was exciting and kind of fun, by the end we just wanted to get out.
So, we actually lost the others, so we don't really know how to go through here. Because you kind of have to know beforehand that you want to go with your feet forward or your head, and that's kind of crucial. Bro, do you hear the noise?
Oh yeah.
What's this noise? Oh my lord.
Where is it coming?
What's this noise?
You hear this noise?
Yes. Yes, I heard it. So it was you all along.
And getting back was hard, but we made it. And what felt surreal was that we went down during daylight and came back up into complete darkness. And after 3 hours of caving, tired, dirty and relieved, we could finally say one thing honestly. We survived it, and now we truly understand how serious caving is. For centuries, people went underground here to survive, to hide, to heal, to pray, or simply to stay alive. And all of this was happening silently beneath the city. Walking through them today isn't just exploration. It's stepping into layers of history that most people never see. We came down to explore what lies beneath the city, but we came back up with a deeper respect for the people who survived here, and for how far humans are willing to go both physically and mentally when survival, belief, or hope is on the line. Thanks for watching our video on the most amazing caves in our city. We are truly grateful you stayed until the end. Subscribe for more content from us, and if you enjoyed this, you will probably enjoy the video on the screen, so make sure you check that out too.